Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, Labor has failed in its bid to have the lower house sit tomorrow and debate its proposed power price cap bill, a move the government slammed as a stunt. In a fiery end to the House of Assembly sitting period, questions were also raised about money spent on upgrading a Burnie hotel to become a COVID management facility.
After a busy budget sitting period, the feeling of a need for a break permeated today's question time.
I warned the Greens about this. When you ask a question, that does not give you the right to constantly interject.
Treasurer, your government isn't getting the basics right. In fact, you're getting them terribly wrong.
At least they had a go. It would cut the throat of the economy, but, Mr Speaker, they were prepared to put their policies to an alternative budget.
Soaring energy prices on the agenda as the state economic regulator prepares to deliver its annual report.
The former Premier, Peter Gutwein, when he was Treasurer, brought in a nearly identical bill in 2018. Why won't you support this one?
It is a con on Tasmanians. You're offering something that you cannot deliver.
The opposition looking to a circuit breaker, unsuccessfully asking the House to sit tomorrow and debate the bill.
We move to come back tomorrow to work to make sure that we can pass a bill that the Legislative Council can deal with next week. Unfortunately, the government voted against that.
Would have led to instability in the market, would have led to the 7 electricity providers in Tasmania being more unstable.
The opposition also releasing documents showing nearly $700,000 was spent on upgrading a Burnie hotel into a COVID management facility. However, no patients used it, with Labor wanting answers on the links between its owners and the Liberal Party and whether the money will be recouped.
This is money that we've asked the government to recoup if they can, because nobody should get a free upgrade for doing nothing.
The Treasurer says the Health Department was in charge of selection.
If it is a Liberal Party member that owns that hotel, well, that would then be a question for the Health Department.
The lower house is now in recess until August, with the cost of living expected to remain highly volatile and unpredictable during this time. The situation leaving MPs with plenty to ponder during their winter hiatus. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Conservative Tasmanian Senator Eric Abetz has officially lost his Senate seat. The Australian Electoral Commission confirmed the fate of the Liberal veteran today. He was first elected to the Senate in 1994. His former colleague, John O'Duniam, is among the successful candidates, alongside the Jackie Lambie Network's Tammy Tyrrell and the Greens' Peter Wish-Wilson. Tributes are flowing for a grandmother and her grandson who died in a car crash at Latrobe. 68-year-old Eileen Murfitt and 15-year-old Lachlan Stones were killed when their Hyundai ran into the back of a truck on the Bass Highway on Tuesday night. 2 14-year-old boys in the back seat survived, suffering minor injuries. They were all related and lived locally. The Latrobe Football Club has paid tribute to Lachlan, describing him as a reserved young man who shone on the field. Well, it's been 5 days since wild weather battered parts of the state and hundreds of residents remain without power. TasNetworks says fallen trees are hampering progress, but Tasmanian and interstate crews are slowly reducing the number of customers in the dark. Currently, there are 25 reported outages affecting around 600 homes. That's down from nearly 2,000 at the same time yesterday. A day after the government announced a relaxation of mask-wearing rules, Tasmania has recorded another COVID death. A man in his 90s passed away in the state's north. 82 people have now lost their lives to the virus since 2020. There were 872 new infections recorded overnight, pushing the state's active cases just past 4,000. 38 people are currently in hospital with COVID and 1 remains in intensive care. An idea for a hybrid North Melbourne Tasmanian AFL team is being branded a rehash and doomed to fail. Eddie Mcguire's latest model to split games between here and Victoria has frustrated the state government, while a former Tassie Kangaroos player says it simply doesn't work.
Writing off Tasmania's push.
Because at the moment, the way things are going, it's not going to happen.
Eddie Mcguire pitches his own plan, a hybrid team putting 11 games in Melbourne and 11 in Tasmania, ticking off the Regatta Point Stadium and feeding the new team with young talent from a local academy.
Let's call them the Kangaroos. That kangaroo there is a Forester kangaroo. That is a native kangaroo of Tasmania.
and only found in the most remote parts of the state. Even more remote is support for the idea.
It's just a rehash of a tired old argument that we're sick of having.
You don't get that local community effect and support and passion as well.
The AFLW has tried a similar approach, launching the Tassie Kangaroos as a way to represent the state. But former player Abby Green says the marriage doesn't work.
You're training in front of different coaches all the time, you don't have the same facilities, and especially you're not bonding with them all the time.
Mcguire suggests Alastair Clarkson should replace Tasmanian David Noble as coach, while giving the side a big cash injection plus draft concessions, creating
a super club.
Which is exactly what clubs were scared of when North wanted to merge with Fitzroy in the 90s.
They've rebelled against a super team.
A special allowance on the salary cap could create a super team.
Clubs like Geelong and Adelaide are receptive to Tasmania's standalone bid, while Collingwood, Sydney and the Gold Coast have reservations. Tasmania now has just 2 months to convince enough club presidents to get on board. The decision in August will be solely on a 19th licence for Tasmania, but there's no shortage of opinions on what's best for all involved. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The Child Sexual Abuse Commission of Inquiry has heard harrowing evidence from a former ward of the state who was abused while in foster care. Azra Beach told the inquiry her foster mother broke her arm when she was just 5 and treated her so badly she felt safer with a family friend who was sexually abusing her. She said she still hasn't received an apology from the state for her treatment.
I just want an apology because I feel like what was done to me was wrong. I deserve a heartfelt apology along with every other child that was subjected to the same abuse.
This week's hearings in Hobart have focused on allegations of abuse within out-of-home care. Retail and hospitality businesses are set to be the big winners when cruise ships return to Tasmanian ports in October. A new independent report has revealed they experience the biggest financial return from passengers when they hit the shore.
Cruising into the wharf, these large vessels of the sea will soon be back in Tasmanian waters.
Clearly Cruises has had a really tough time. So it's back in Australia. Tasmania's now fitted the last piece of the puzzle in the reopening.
For Salamanca market stall holders like Jamie Seeger, any increase in foot traffic is welcomed in the face of a turbulent economy.
At the peak of the cruise ship tourism a couple of years ago, many of the cruise ships arrived on a Tuesday or Wednesday. It'd be great to see more cruise ships arrive on Friday and stay for Saturday as well.
On the Hobart waterfront, operators are ready for the autumn influx, with a new KPMG report showing passenger spend on tours continues to be a key economic driver.
It's great news that cruise ships are coming back in October this year. It lets us get back down to business, and there's a lot of businesses around Hobart and Tasmania that have really relied on cruise ships.
Traditional arrival points in Port Arthur, Hobart and Burnie are already drawing interest from companies as safety protocols are ramped up.
I think the consumer's really confident with the health protocols that have been agreed to by the cruise lines and the destinations.
Communication with cruise lines to confirm itineraries is underway by Tasports, with the organisation playing a crucial role in the season return. Before the pandemic, cruise tourism was an important part of the industry, contributing $100 million a year to the Tasmanian economy, while also supporting around 400 local jobs.
And we believe that the international market's going to come back with cruise probably faster than some of the other traditional international markets, which is really exciting for a place like Tasmania.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Anglers will once again have the chance to reel in their share of $100,000 this trout season. 50 tagged brown trout are being released into 15 local waterways, with each worth $2,000 to the person who secures catch of the day. The state government says the program is aimed at luring people into taking part in one of Tasmania's great traditions.
Each of these tagged fish has got an orange tag with an individual number on it, and it'll say winner. So they'll know when they've caught a tagged fish that's in the promotion.
But before casting a line, those interested must have an inland fishing licence. There are also some fish from last year yet to be caught. Duck mofos burn the village, feel its warmth display is lighting up Hobart City, originally an African proverb. The phrase was used as a Twitter hashtag during London's 2011 riots.
It warns if the young of the village aren't initiated into the community, that they will burn the village down.
The artist says though the phrase has historic relevance, its meaning is up to public interpretation. A group of mates has started out on a walk to honour a friend who lost his life to suicide last year. Now, 5 hours into their long journey, they're hoping to raise awareness this Men's Mental Health Week.
Setting off on a 108-kilometre walk, 4 friends are raising awareness for mental health. From Port Sorell to Parana Dragway, the group are enduring 22 hours of on-foot struggle to send a message: it's not weak to speak.
When people walk out the door to go for a walk, when they don't feel very well, they want to go and clear their heads. Unfortunately, some of those don't come home. So we want to just do a walk to symbolise that same thing, let everybody know that they're not alone.
The cause hits close to home for Damien Giles.
I lost my younger brother, Austin, last September to suicide. And I just started a campaign called Austin's Legacy and Check on Your Mates. This is what we're doing it for.
Being one of Austin's close mates, it really touched us all, and it broke a lot of our hearts.
20-year-old Austin is being remembered by paying tribute to his love for the outdoors.
Got us all into camping and hiking, did all that stuff for the first time with him. He's just outgoing.
Vibrant, energetic young man, loved hiking, walking. He got lost in his own emotions. And maybe his mates didn't check on him enough. We all didn't. So that's why we started the campaign, Check on Your Mates, just so we don't get another person that feels like him.
The walk coinciding with Men's Mental Health Week. Beyond Blue is encouraging more men to speak up.
Very sad statistic that 3,000 people take their lives in Australia every year, so it's 9 a day on average, and 7 of those are men.
Working to end the mental health stigma, the organisation providing much needed support to those who need it.
Through a program called The Way Back. And this is a non-medical person who gives them a lot of hope, who they can trust.
Since 2014, 15,000 people have benefited from the service, putting them on a path to recovery one step at a time. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmanian News.
And if this story has raised any concerns, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14.
As we reported earlier, the state government has shot down an idea by Eddie Mcguire to create a hybrid North Melbourne Tasmanian AFL team. The proposal would see 11 games played in Melbourne and 11 in Tasmania, while retaining the Kangaroos name. Some commentators question whether club presidents are representing their members' views.
If it is put forward by the AFL as a recommendation and it is sound, financially and future-proof, it would be the greatest single act of bastardry in the history of the game for the presidents to vote that down.
Clubs will vote on a standalone Tasmanian team in August. More Tasmanians are on their way to Birmingham. Josh Duffy will ride in the track cycling endurance race in his Commonwealth Games debut. Sam Fox will also make his first appearance in the mountain biking, while Georgia Baker is returning to the Commonwealth Games to race in the endurance events, and Christmas Carnival's regular Luke Plapp, who spent a chunk of his development in Tasmania, is also in the 34-strong squad. A powerful force is preparing to touch down in Tasmania as basketball champion Mariana Tolo signs on with the Launceston Tornadoes. The Opals player is determined to see her new team bring home the NBL 1 South title.
From winning 4 WNBL championships to donning green and gold at the Olympics, Mariana Tolo knows her way around the court.
Generally, you're training around twice a day, every day, and that's a mix of, lifting weights, shooting on court, sort of conditioning sessions.
And though she's just returned from a season in France, her next venture is already taking off as she signs on with the Launceston Tornadoes for the remainder of their season.
It's time to put the boots back on and get back out there and on the floor.
The 6'5" powerhouse player set to be an invaluable asset to the club.
We focus on culture and development first, and we headhunt the right leaders to come into our group to provide that to our young girls.
Her decision was swayed by friends Keely Froling and Kelsey Griffin, who raved about the Tornadoes team.
You don't often get to play with two of your best mates, and that was a huge draw card for me.
Throwing several balls in the ring, the athlete will miss a few games due to commitments with her Opals family, but says her new position will work towards maintaining her fitness for future feats.
The Opals for me is a priority. I want to put myself in the best position to make the World Cup team for later this year.
Still yet to meet the squad, Tolo will touch down on Tassie soil this weekend. She looks forward to receiving the same enthusiasm that Tasmania put into the Jack Jumpers this year. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
While on the undercard, Tasmanian Dan Hill defeated Bryce McLaughlin by majority decision in their catchweight bout.
Good evening. Temperatures today ranged from Lyoweeny's -1 to Burnie's 17. Hobart 13 today, Launceston and Devonport 15. Most temperatures around or slightly above average. King Island 15, Flinders Island, Lowhead and Friendly Beaches 14. St Helens and Strawn 13, Grove 12 and Lyoweeny a top of 5. Clouds circled a low near Flinders Island, bringing rain mostly overnight, 42 millimetres at Burnie to 9 a.m, not much since. That system also has cloud reaching the southeast parts of the mainland. A frontal cloud band is to our west with another southwest of WA. Tomorrow, the high near Adelaide maintains stable weather for a large area of the nation. That front weakens to our west and drops to the south a bit. Winds south-southwesterly at 15 to 20 knots, but west-northwesterly over southern waters, swells at 2 metres. Friday for Hobart, 13 with a shower or two on the way later, 14 for Huonville and Campania. Launceston a top tomorrow of 14 degrees with a late shower, 2 overnight, 15 the high for Devonport, a shower or two later as well for Georgetown, 14 the top there. 15 for Burnie, an afternoon shower, showers for Strawn, 14 and 15 the high for Wynyard. St Helens a top of 15 degrees and partly cloudy, a shower later for Swansea and a high of just 12 for Port Arthur. On Saturday, an inland frost ahead of showers for most areas. The Western King Island may miss the wet weather. Sunny over the west on Sunday with a chance of a shower over most parts except the central north. And on Monday, showers for the central and north, partly cloudy for the rest of the state. Showers increasing for Perth, partly cloudy in Adelaide, showers easing in Melbourne, a possible shower forecast for Sydney, sunny in Brisbane, Darwin sort of okay, fine, sunny and 33. Meanwhile here, 9 degrees in Hobart, 10 in Launceston and partly cloudy, and Devonport 12 degrees on what is Kim National Vegemite Day, which I think is what I'm eating tonight, Vegemite on Sayo biscuits. Donna doesn't prepare much of a meal when Richmond are playing.
Don't be fussy now. And that is all your news for now. We'll be back later with news breaks. Thanks for joining us. Good night.